So in Garry's mod, there are countless mods that try to make the game more realistic, and we've talked about these ad nauseum. That doesn't stop the add-ons from coming, and this one is made by the one and only datæ? I don't even know how to pronounce this, but this man is a living legend. Makes some of the best mods on the workshop, and this is just going to be another thrown into his repertoire. This is known as TacMove, and there's tons of little intricate details that we're going to touch on, but the bottom line is, it's going to completely transform the movement in Garry's mod. And as you can see here, we are using the Half-Life 1 crossbow, but we can of course use, well, practically any weapon, and I guess we're going to go over the first things you're going to notice, and that is, there's leaning. So as you can see, as we move, we slightly tilt our head, and I don't know why I'm doing it in real life, maybe you can tell by the changing of audio, but the bottom line is, you do tilt your head to the left and right, and it's gradual. But something else you're going to notice, and this is going to be something that might remind some of you of a recent mod we did, I say recent, it was forever ago, and that is the realistic movement speed mod, where you slowly and gradually build up speed. Now I will say, it's not nearly as tedious as that mod, it's a lot more manageable, but we can see if we just start walking, you can see it's very slow, and then it slowly builds up. But I noticed that you get to top speed pretty quick. This is of course without sprint. Holding shift though, is going to let you sprint, and you're going to notice that the bobbing appears to be increasing. And is it just me, or did everything get a bit more gray? You're also going to notice I'm pressing shift and nothing is happening. That's because we're exhausted. You can tell by our labored breathing here. And now color comes back into the world, and we can go back to sprinting. So there is a stamina system built into this, so if you're not keen on that, don't worry, we're going to get into ways that you can change that. But yeah, there's actual momentum. Now, if you were to run and stop, you do pretty much stop on a dime. The momentum's really mainly just, you know, when you're taking turns, like turning left and stuff. I mean, it looks great. It looks super good. In fact, it might be the best representation of this that I've seen. Honestly, every time I see a mod like this, it just makes me wish that Sharp Eye worked correctly, because that was one of the few mods that I had before I even made a YouTube channel, and it was my favorite mod at the time. It was just so cool to tweak and create your own realistic experience. Back then I had a shitty laptop, so I couldn't run games at ultra settings, so getting an immersive realistic experience from just one mod was pretty enticing to me, and I imagine it's just as enticing to some of you out there. So this is going to be a very handy replacement in a way of Sharp Eye, so that's why this is kind of a mod that I've been waiting for. I've been waiting for someone to take a crack at a very high quality movement mod, and so far this has definitely taken the cake. So what else is there? Of course there's crouching. You're gonna notice the crouching is again kind of delayed. It's not super delayed, but it's a bit more than, well, standard. And then of course we have jumping. Look at that. That is so cool. It looks so realistic, and there's even sounds too. Now, of course, it doesn't change your footstep sounds, but if you wanted to, you could probably download a mod that changes your footsteps. Although be wary when you do download any kind of movement mod, because it could conflict with this one and you might start running into issues. But alas, look at this. Look how little we jump because we're exhausted. Now, you don't have to just sit still to get your stamina back. You can also slow walk. So if you want to keep the pace up and you don't want to just sit there for like, I don't know, 10 seconds, you can just walk like this. And now we are back in tip-top shape. Once again, when you jump, you can see he kind of like bends down a bit. Again, realistic. I mean, who do you know that can just jump straight up without having to bend down? I don't know, some weirdos out there maybe, but no one I know. So I love that. And like the little bobbing effects, everything is so subtle. It feels like it's meant to be in the game. Now, of course, again, you know, we could sit here and talk about this, but let's go ahead and see what it looks like with other weapons. So we saw what it looks like with the Half-Life 1 weapons. Bobbing and everything still works just fine, although I did run into a bit of an issue with the Modern Warfare weapons, and you're gonna see, I mean, everything looks pretty good so far, except, oh, nothing is working. The bobbing's not working, the exhaustion system is working, of course. The jumping also works as well, and the smart crouching, but no tilting, no bobbing. It just kind of takes you out of the experience. But hey, maybe you don't like the bobbing. Well, if you like the Modern Warfare weapons, then this is going to be a treat for you, but you're also kind of missing out on a lot of the fun of the mod. Alright, so now we're going to go into these settings here because that's where you can really tweak some of these things. One thing I love about this creator is he adds a bunch of great settings that are super easy to access. So you could choose to enable the view. You could even tell, in fact I never noticed this, but yeah, apparently our view changes a bit. So this is with it off and this is with it on. So this is, I assume, when you aim. Okay, look at that. So you can see our hands are actually like moving, like rotating a bit. That's pretty cool. But again, we can turn that off and yep, now it's just basic. We can also do a minimized view model. So if you feel like your gun is a bit too big or it's just in the way, well, you can simply enable this and it's going to slightly lower your gun. I mean, it's things like this. Like, this dude thought of everything. And then you also have the exhaustion vignette, which is that kind of dark kind of aura around our screen. And don't know about you, but I actually like it. I think it's a good indicator to know that you're out of stamina. And then you can, of course, adjust the exhaustion here. So if you're sick of being, you know, gassed out after walking 10 steps, you can, of course, adjust this. Okay, never mind. This is just the visuals of it. If you want to actually adjust your exhaustion rate, you go on down here, and this is where you can change it. You can also adjust your jogging speed. We're going to go ahead and crank this up. Okay, there we go. So I did notice that obviously the mod does slow you down quite a bit, but you know, I kind of like that. Sometimes I feel like I just jump or run over so many things, but this makes me feel like I'm actually like, you know, stuck on the ground. And then there's a bunch of other things here that we're really not going to get into, but you guys can pretty much see what they do. They're very self-explanatory. Honestly, like I said, all of these things are great. It does say you have to respawn for the settings, but I felt like I could notice it right away. Alright, here we are. So, yep, yeah, it did take effect right away. So, you have full adjustment of your running speed, which is pretty damn awesome. Oh, that's jog speed. Oh, wow. So, this is just my normal walk. And then if we were to adjust, of course, the running speed. Alright, there we go. Now we are definitely faster. So, for that time, I did have to respawn. But just be wary, because if you're making these little minute movements, you might stop your momentum dead in its tracks. So, you know, you have to be careful about that a little bit, but again, you can kind of twist. As you kind of bend around, you can see your screen does roll a bit. I also really appreciate that the creator did put the default setting next to the number, so I know exactly what to set it to if I want the default experience, of course. All in all, guys, I mean, there's not much else to say. This is a fantastic mod. It's so simple too, and it should work with theoretically almost every weapon. Again, the Modern Warfare base, and I assume a few other bases. He did mention the Arc base in there somewhere. Does have a few minor issues. I think something with like aiming or using the scope. But hey, I would love to know what you guys think down below. As always, if you want to leave a like or subscribe, you totally can. Links will be in the description. This was a really fun video for me because, I mean, these are the mods that I love to showcase because they're so well made. And whenever I see datæ, you're going to have to tell me how to pronounce that, my guy. Whenever I see him upload, it's always a treat. But thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one. And until next time, farewell.